wondering why I'm sitting here with china on one side and jewelry and scarves on the other side. Well, today I want to take back our china cabinets. It's time to use our china every day, give away those that we don't need anymore or they're surplus. And if any of them break, oh well, c'est la vie. I'm challenging myself to turn my china cabinet into a chic boutique. I want to store my jewelry, my scarves, my purses, and maybe some shoes. I will be applying 2 different decoupage papers so I can change the look whenever I feel like it. Hi, I'm Jacqueline, and welcome to my channel. This china cabinet is in pretty good shape. There's just a few spots that need some repair, but overall, I'm really happy with it. Do you see what I see? It looks like a heart. So I'm going to try my best to make sure I can still see that heart. My only dilemma is whether or not I want to keep the scroll work at the bottom of the cabinet. I know to make it more modern, I need to remove it, but I kind of like the look with the details on the drawer. So I think I might just need to keep it in. I gave the cabinet a good clean with Wise Owl Green Ease Stripping Clean. And then I gave it a good wipe with clean water. I then proceeded to remove the scroll work, the gloss, the frame, and the hinges. My hubby came to the rescue to remove those shelves from the cabinet. I struggled and just could not take them out. Before applying paint to the cabinet, I needed to scuff sand, and I used a 120 grit sanding sponge. And then I wiped the residue with clean water, and then I was ready to paint. I will be stippling the front of the cabinet and the side frames with Algonquin, followed by Victorian lace. As you see, I'm first applying the Algonquin just by using a stippling motion, and then I will do the same with Victorian lace. This method really adds the texture to your cabinet, and I really like this look. And it's easy to do. For the side panels, I decided to simply go with Algonquin. I'm going to leave this open for the future when I decide what to do with the sides. I might add a script or a transfer. Before applying the second coat of Algonquin on the side panels, I used my finishing sanding sponge just to smooth it out. Before painting the door frame, I wanted to clean the hardware, which is the handle. Sorry, I couldn't figure out how to remove it. It has a latch on the back, so I figured I'll just tape around it and clean it with the barkeeper's friend. So I just used an old brush, applied some of the barkeeper's friend, let it soak for a few minutes, and then cleaned it off. And I was happy with the result. I decided to paint the frame of the cabinet door with Algonquin, so I didn't do a stippling technique on the frame. Since I'm turning this china cabinet into a she boutique, I needed to do something different with the cabinet door. So we went and bought a piece of hardwood, which was measured to fit inside the frame of the cabinet door. And the intent here is to decoupage both sides of it. But before doing that, I applied Victorian lace on both sides, and I believe I applied 2 coats. The first paper that I applied is called Salon de la Gloire. It's an A1 decoupage fiber from Redesigned by Prima. Before applying it to the hardwood, I decided to give it a quick little ironing just to remove some of the wrinkles and the fold lines on very low heat. I believe the preferred method is to use a handheld fabric garment clothing steamer, but since I didn't have one, I used my regular iron. In order to apply the decoupage paper to the board, I went with Minwax Polyacrylic Protective Sealant. I find it is very thin and very easy to use. This is a sneak peek as to what it will look like once the decoupage is on the wooden panel and into the frame. To help smooth out the paper, you can use a plastic tool like this one, or a piece of scrunched up plastic wrap, or simply your gloves. You will see that when I'm applying the decoupage paper to the board, I'm going section by section. So I'm going to apply the Minwax polyacrylic to the board with a brush, or you can use a foam brush for this as well. And then I'm going to put one section down. I'll smooth it out, and then I'll repeat all the way down. Once this has dried, I will add a top coat of the Minwax sealant on top of the decoupage paper, and then I will let that dry. Now it's time to remove the excess decoupage paper. You can use your pair of scissors to remove most of it, and then you can also use a sanding sponge and sand the edges to remove the paper. And now for a sneak peek of the other side of the wooden board. This is Whispering Windfall decoupage paper by Redesign with Prima. I had decided that I did not want to paint the drawer, as I wanted to retain the wood grain since I could see a heart. So I decided to use Citristrip to strip the old stain away. In order to prevent the Citristrip from dripping into the drawer, I put a masking tape over the holes. I used a chippy brush in order to apply the Citristrip to the drawer. It doesn't take long to see the Citristrip doing its magic. In order to prevent the Citristrip from drying, I had applied a plastic wrap over the Citristrip, and after 4 hours, I was able to start the stripping process. I primarily used a putty knife to remove the Citristrip, and I also used a nylon bristle brush specifically to get all of that Citristrip in between the detailed work on the drawer. It took me a while, but eventually I got it done. During this process, I used the Wise Owl Greenies Strip and Clean to remove some of the residue. After wiping away the remaining residue, I sprayed the drawer with water and continued to clean. Once the drawer was completely dried, I used a very fine sanding sponge to give it a nice, smooth surface. For the next step, I'm using Debbie's Design Diary furniture wax, both in clear as well as in white. I'm using my Wise Owl palm brush in order to first apply the clear wax onto the drawer. I am applying the white wax over the clear wax. By applying the clear wax first, it allows the white wax to sit on the surface of the clear wax. That way the drawer or the wood does not absorb all of the white wax, and it's easier to remove as much white wax as I want. To buff the wax, I use my beautiful Paint Dixie wax buffer brush called the Buff. I simply love this brush. For the legs and the base, as well as the top of the cabinet, I went with a lighter color. I mixed the Algonquin with Victorian lace and applied 2 coats. I used Gorilla Wood Filler to fill in a few of the chips that were in the cabinet. For the inside of the cabinet, I decided to go with a slightly different color. This is Lotus Lilac, and it's a paint from Mélange Paints. And I also decided to go with a stencil by Studio R12 with just the word love. To seal the cabinet, I decided to go with a wax finish varnish by Polyvine. For the shelves, as well as inside the drawer, I decided to use the Simple Green Cleaner and then apply the Howard's Feed and Wax. And although it didn't remove all of the scratches or water rings from glasses, that's okay. It kept some history and it looks beautiful once it's all done. Time to put the shelves back in. My She Boutique will have many different looks. We installed 6 window screen hardware pieces to the back of the frame. This will hold the glass, the scroll work, as well as the wood panel with the decoupage papers. For the scroll work, I decided to go with Rust-Oleum Painter's Touch white primer, as well as the Rust-Oleum Painter's Touch white paint. time to put the hardware back in. And I've also decided to add some gilding wax in bronze on top of the hardware for the drawers, as well as the handle and the hinges on the door. And now for the fun part. So for this first look, I used the Salon de la Gloire decoupage paper will be in the front, and then the glass and the scroll work will be in the back. For this second look, the Salon de la Gloire decoupage paper is behind the scroll work, which is behind the glass. Now when you look in the inside of the cabinet, you see the Whispering Windfall decoupage paper. For the third look, we have Whispering Windfall in the front. And when you look inside, you'll see the Salon de la Gloire behind the glass and the scrollwork. And for the fourth look, you have the Whispering Windfall on the front with the scrollwork and the glass. And when you look on the inside, you get Salon de la Gloire. I hope you enjoyed all of these different looks. And now for the reveal of the inside of my she cabinet. I think I pulled off my challenge. What do you think? I hope you enjoyed this tutorial and that you have been inspired to create your own she boutique. Until next time, thank you. What's in your china cabinet?